the word PTSD and TBI and all of these things, I didn't know any of them. It was through people that I got to meet in the training field that were, Marines, SEALs, MARSOC guys, those types of people that started giving words to some of the things that I felt, which I didn't really know. We would treat post-traumatic stress with alcohol and vacation time.
Yeah.
A bottle of mezcal. When you see the bottom of it, your troubles are gone.
Cured.
Yeah, immediately. I was an alcoholic as well as all the other stuff. I was drinking myself to sleep every third night. My marriage obviously was failing. It wasn't easy for her. She was brave and she did what she could, and I totally respect and understand her process with it. But when it's quiet, that's when it hits you. That's what I think. That's what a lot of people experience when they come back from a conflict zone. Everything that was life and death, everything that mattered, all the noise, all the chaos, all the people that are around you that would die for you, kill for you, you would kill for them. All the millions of dollars worth of equipment and stuff like that you were responsible for now are all gone, and it's just you walking into a Circle K and buying 3 cans of Foster's to drink yourself to sleep.
Yeah, you write on your Patreon brilliantly about PTSD, about the cost of things you've done and seen. Quote, when it's over and we're far from that chaos and noise of death being close and life being real, that is when some of us remember, in the quiet nights in a field in Tennessee, looking at fireflies, walking through a fair, holding hands with a lover, asking you what's wrong. At your kid's birthday party, leave early to avoid the ending of a celebration. That is what the quiet means to some of us. So that's speaking to that silence, the quiet. How do you live with and thrive with this newly learned term of PTSD?
If anything, I would recommend people that have any of these issues to go to places where other people have their issues. So it's not a competition, but you get to see the scope of problems in the world, and you sometimes feel kind of lucky as far as your own.
Like it humbles you.
Yeah.
And makes you appreciate of all the different kinds of struggles that people go through.
Yeah. I mean, I went through some horrible shit, but there's some people there that went through other more horrible shit or stuff that I don't think I could have survived. When I went through that process of figuring things out, the first thing that glaringly pointed out or stuck out to me was my inability to process things. Like there was a big pause button there, a giant one. Everything was on pause. My grieving, not only my mom, but my brother. So I had a pause button on me since I was 13, basically. Then I got to bury many of my friends, inform their wives or girlfriends of what happened. And that all, again, was paused because I wasn't allowed to process. I spent years without going on vacation because I was a workaholic. And I found at the core of my issues alcohol. A giant pause button in the form of alcohol. Basically, I would drink my problems away. Or specifically, it's like if you have a mess in your house, you just put a big tarp over it, to cover it up. And alcohol was that for me. And it festered more and more as I not only went through the process of learning about PTSD, going through therapy, but refusing to let that go. It's like going through therapy and seeing what other people's problems were. And I don't want to, this is the only thing I have. I'm not hurting anybody with it.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I need to get rid of that? By this point, I was traveling across the country and training people and showing some of the experiences that I had to other people, speaking, being on podcasts and having conversations like the one I'm having with you.
So speaking to the skills that you've developed.
And in a way, basically reliving and reopening a bunch of shit for myself every time I do it. So it was I was getting triggered, and the way I would manage that was I would drink, at the end of the night after a weekend class somewhere. When I talk about the fireflies in a field in Tennessee, it was a moment where I was forcing myself to try and be sober. And we did this medical class out in the hills in Tennessee. It was a beautiful green place, beautiful family there that hosted us. And it's the first time I ever saw fireflies. So I was like, thought I was having a hallucinogenic experience when I say, why is the dust glowing? Is what I thought. A friend of mine is a veteran. He just ran off to the woods and grabbed one and brought it to me and showed it to me. I was like, holy shit, what is that? That's a firefly. Wow. How do they glow? I don't know. And he's crushed it in his hand and said, it's gone. And that brought me back immediately to, holy shit, it kind of like I was off somewhere and I was back and I had to go drink. I went through that process of like going off it, getting on it, going off, getting off it. My marriage separated. And that was another end of the world aspect to everything, I lost my mother, I lost the job, and then the marriage failed. And it was on me. I basically went somewhere and did a stock of everything that was going on and made a decision to stop drinking. Yeah. Had some bad relationships after. And I just came to a place where I need to stop drinking.
You've gotten to a point so low. Was this a decision you arrived at by yourself? Was there some inspiration? Or was it just the point is so low, lost so much?
It was the start of COVID. So this is recent. This is probably I'm gonna have 2 years sober in December.
So when you talked to Rogan the first time, you're still struggling with this demon.
Yeah. I was in and out of the car, basically, is what I would say, I was in and out of, and then trying to get rid of it.
That must be a super stressful experience talking to Joe Rogan the first time. Did you drink that night? Do you remember?
The second time I was there, I went somewhere and got shit-faced. It was stressful, not for any other reason than I felt the responsibility to the people that couldn't speak about it. So that's the pressure. It was the start of COVID and things started getting shut down and slowed down. My dad got really sick and almost died. We had to set up like some Jason Bourne level shit at my brother's place. He was in Mexico, so we had to bribe a guy to get us an oxygen tank, and I had to Jimmy rig a respirator, and it was some shit. But my dad was like, he survived it. Everybody, the doctors were like, say goodbye, and my dad was like, yeah, say goodbye to him.
Okay, so your dad's a gangster. I got it. Tough guy.
He did some gangster shit that day. But on my end, I was being isolated. Basically, as COVID is, everybody's slowing down. No more classes, no more excuses to go out there and drink, and no more socializing. So social drinking turned into alone drinking more and more and more. I bought a bottle of gin because I was down in Mexico taking care of my dad, and they closed down beer production in Mexico. So beer went away. And beer was a way I kind of managed it, It's not hard alcohol, it's just beer, so, But that went away, so it was just hard alcohol. That was what was available down there. I one night alone at the house, my dad's house, I drank a bottle of gin, a whole bottle of gin. And I almost died. And after that, some people started noticing that I was isolating more and more, and it was kind of eating away at me. I was in a relationship at that point when I started seeing everything just kind of fall apart around me. and I drank half of a glass of wine, and it made me sick to my, like, internally in my mind. And my kid said to me, and I don't know, nobody coached her, nobody said anything to her. She's a pretty intuitive kid. She said, "I don't drink anymore, Dad." Out of nowhere, in the middle of the night. And I stopped. I stopped that night. I stopped that night. I remember waking up at 3 a.m. And taking a cooler that I had and just dumping all the beers in it and chucking them in the garbage, and with a knife poking each of them to not, be tempted to go back for them. And then the second day I went around and started finding the hides that I had, because I had some, hides.
Yeah.
And then I went somewhere and locked myself in for 2 weeks. I had the withdrawals, the clearest nightmares that I've ever had in my life for 2-3 weeks. I went somewhere, I want to keep them private, but I went somewhere where they offered a place for me. And when I asked them about it, it's a community. I gave them some money for their school as a donation. I gave them like a few $1,000s. I said, "Yeah, sure, come. You can go through this process here." Cool as fuck people. Mm-hmm. The first thing they did when I got there is they stood me up in front of everybody to thank me for the donation, and then told everybody that I was an alcoholic, and if anybody saw me drinking, I was to be kicked out of there immediately. And I felt horrible. So that was where I started.
Is that temptation still there?
There was a moment when it was, and some therapy circle. There's a rodeo clown friend of mine who his spine is basically fused together, type of guy. We've been friends and enemies and friends again, during our therapy circle sessions.
Oh, so like there's an intimacy there.
Yeah. He didn't know anything about me. One time when we were telling our story, he stood up and told his story, and then he heard mine, and then he was pissed off at me and didn't want to talk to me for a while. And then later he told me that it was because he saw what I did with my experience and how much of a difference that he perceived that I was making with it. And he felt jealous that he couldn't do the same with his experience because he was just a broken ex-rodeo clown. He told me when I was going through the process, like, "Hey, you're an internet celebrity person, you're known. Aren't you worried about people finding out that you're recovering drunk?" And I said, "Yeah, it's fucking scary as shit if people find out that I am going through this process. It's scary that, the critique. I already get a lot of shit for being a ex-police officer in Mexico and all that, all the negativity that comes from that." And he said, "Don't be. That you can't pickpocket a naked man, so just get naked." And what does that mean? Write about it. Post it online. You never know. Somebody out there might get inspired to do their own kind of process. So I started posting about it. Cowardly in a way, because I wanted to make other people keep me on the path, But in other ways, desperation. I don't want to drink anymore. I don't want to go back to that path, which I know leads directly to a bad death. I'm not afraid of death. I just want a good one. I don't want a bad one. I think that was going to lead me to a bad death. I started writing about it and sharing it online, through my fever dreams post, and just being humorous about it online, and getting a lot of hate on one side, having a few people and companies that I work with kind of step back and seeing this guy has some issues, to having other people kind of make fun of or make light of that weakness portrayed.
Oh, so getting hate, getting criticism, because here you are, a counter-narcotics police officer has a drinking problem. So is that like supposed to be what, like flaws revealed?
Weakness, or a
Weakness.
perception of alpha in the U.S., I guess, that some people have.
You were supposed to be strong, and here you are being weak.
I mean, I'm not Jocko Willink. I'm not David Goggins. I wake up at 10 in the morning sometimes, and I'll have cornflakes with my 8-year-old. You know, I like days off. I used to wake up at 3:30 in the morning every day to review what happened during the night, and then go off for a jog, and then the gym, and just be ready to be able to murder somebody with my hands if I had to. But I couldn't maintain that during the whole process of getting out of it. Now, leaving alcohol, I remember just being honest with it and just seeing the two sides of it. Joe told me never read the comment section, right? Which is a beautiful. It's a beautiful piece of advice, but they get you sometimes when you talk about some of these things openly. And some of the comments were positive, and I've been seeing people comment, sending me messages, and meeting people on the road that are 5 months in, 10 months. Some people that have been on that wagon for way longer than I have. And it's what's cool when you meet people that are superhuman or perform and are taking extreme ownership of things and are just amazing people that are, thriving out there. It's inspirational. I see some of these people and I'm like, holy shit, I need to figure out how to get to some semblance of that. But I'm not that. I've been through the ringer. I fucked up a shit ton of times. My nose is an example of that. I have a few missing teeth. But in a way, I think all of that is part of the process that not a lot of people want to talk about, independently of the experience I got down there and some of the things that I show and talk about and some of the advocacy I do related to women like her that are, trying to look for a better life and trying to find their missing kids, training people to not get into those situations, but also showcasing the fact that people that go through some of these processes have a journey to go through. I just came into your studio with a duffel bag straight from the airport, and I'm going to leave early tomorrow morning to somewhere else. I've been on the road for almost, I think, 5 years nonstop. I go back to a specific place every week to see my kid for 2-3 days, and then I'm back out. Some people are like, are you running? Like, are you worried? Is this afraid about something? No. But I am, on this weird path, I guess, trying to look for something that I think I've been missing